Welcome to the Town of New Paltz, July 14th, 2014 meeting. First up on the agenda is review and approval of the minutes of June 23rd, 2014. Comments on the minutes? We have a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Next up is conceptual review, Arco gas propane exchange. Yep, come on up. Tell me what we're looking at.
Oh, looking at putting in a 36 count cage at the mobile on Main Street, 409 Main Street.
36?
36 count, yep, and I have the dimensions there. I think I included the paperwork to Kelly. Pictures, dimensions, of the location where it would be. Which I also have here too, if you like.
Yep. Well, visually, we're on mobile properties that going over where they'll be located.
If you were to go right outside the door on the left-hand side. I can show you right here. Maybe. That would be right there in the corner.
Back.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Okay.
with the house beyond, right?
Yeah. The building's behind. And yeah, that's the other shot of it there. So it'd be here in the corner.
And how many is that there now?
There's nothing there now.
What is that?
Nothing at all. It's just the
The white thing up on the...
Oh, this is a fence and wooden
it's just
fence.
a fence, okay.
Yeah.
So how do you stack these? How do you store these?
It would be in one of these cages. It would be up against the building there.
And how big is, okay, 85 by 74, holds 36?
It's 36. These would be the type of parking bollards we would supply for them in that parking space that's there, so that there would be
Yep.
no chance of a car getting in there.
And would these be protected by the station fire suppression system?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I just have a memo from the building inspector. Yeah, it's 720 pounds, but criteria that we would look for in the site plan modification are all location and everything else. And actually, if on a site plan you could show these distances from the location, so we know that we're in agreement with that.
Yeah, looking at that picture, does it seem like this cage would be 10 feet from the building and 20 feet from the entrance?
I don't know. I have to measure that. Definitely not 10 feet from the building, but from the entrance, yes.
And then 10 feet from the property line, is that white fence the property line?
I'll find out. Any other building?
Mm-hmm. Okay, any other questions, comments?
What's behind the white fence? I forgot to say anything. Is there another property or something?
Yeah, but I think there's some space
Yeah,
there.
there's quite a bit of space there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Between the two. Yeah, then we can see that from the site
From the
plan.
site plan.
Yep.
Okay, so just a measured out site plan you would need.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a site plan modification, so we would have to see, you know, it meets the these dimensional codes on it, and so the site plan itself would have to be redrawn to show the storage.
So we'd have to redraw the site plan.
Yeah, you'll have to redraw the site plan. Because the building inspector goes out with the site plan, is it on there or not on there? That's the type of thing we're gonna be working with.
Anything else you think I may need?
No, I don't think so. Really doesn't meet the safety, more of it does meet the safety requirements that are associated with that. I mean, we do have them in town now at various locations,
Right.
so. Maybe in the narrative, just tell us how they get, when and how they get switched out.
Will this require any signage?
It will. And
No smoking?
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah,
sign is on
that'll-
that, the safety signs.
that'll all be on, yeah. That'll all be
Just require a public hearing. So it's
No,
neighbors there.
I wouldn't think so. All right,
on. And then I
so
resubmit that to the
Excuse me?
board. I would resubmit this to the.
you would
board, yeah.
submit an application to the board for site plan approval showing the addition of the cages, showing it meets the requirements. I think some of the issues that people brought up, how, where the fence is, where the back of the property line, are we
Yeah.
far enough from the neighbors and things of
Yeah.
that sort.
Does-
I think from a safety standpoint, just so we know, is, and it's probably standardized, but how does one protect, or if something happened on these cylinders? Just be really helpful on that one. I mean, it's not that we're all experts on the propane storage, but that's fairly standard, but it'd be nice to just get it
Sure.
on the record.
I can do that.
Do you have
Okay.
these cages at any other business in New Paltz or nearby?
Yeah, we have them all over, but I don't know exactly if we have any in New Paltz, but
Because I believe they have these at True Value. Maybe not your company, but
Oh, it's Stewart's too.
yeah, it's Stewart's.
right. So I'm just
Yeah.
I don't remember at True Value that they're more than 10 feet from the building.
From any other building, I think that's the building code requirement, building separation.
From any other building or group of buildings. So why wouldn't that include?
Because the building code requires 10 feet of separation between two structures. I believe this would be treated as an appendage to one structure, which would require it to be separated 10 feet from the other structure.
So it can be right up against structure A, and then it just has to be at least 10 feet away from structure
Right.
B through Z.
And it's basically so people can get through fire service.
Okay,
Okay,
I think that's it.
all right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay. We usually open up the meeting for anybody wishing to make any public comments on an issue other than open public hearings. I see I have basically applicants in the room here, so I can think of probably move on to the next thing. But does anybody wish to make a public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to the application review. Said? Keep my paper straight.
Hello.
Hey, we'll start down with Tom on this.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay, so an update on it is it went to the ZBA
Yep.
last Tuesday night,
Yep.
and I'll read off information on the conditions that the ZBA put on their approval. Hours of operation Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., closed Sunday. Lighting must be turned off when a store is closed, except for security and safety lighting. No access from Hummel Road. Landscaping must be installed and maintained per the referenced site plan. The sign must have the same dimensions as shown on the site plan detail, sheet 2. Any lighting approved must be downcast, and the variance must be consistent with any and all additional conditions imposed by the town planning board. So, those were the conditions they put on the site plan. It did go up before the Ulster County Planning Board, and basically they said it had no county impact, that the area across the street from it is all B2, commercial zone 2. About the only thing they said was it's a use variance, they should lump all the variances together, so
Yeah.
I think that's what
Yeah.
the ZBA did. So they're good to go on that. Dave, do we have anything on that, further on that?
We had given Said our review notes, and your engineer had made those changes. I talked with Stacy about the parking on it. We resolved that, so the parking is good. Right number of spaces on that. A
Okay.
little concerned about the carport, but the fractional space, so I think we're good to go.
Okay. So what do we have left to do on this? I have to just check my notes on that.
Seeker?
Seeker, that's what I thought.
Or any, something?
We had, yeah, they had given us the wrong form to begin with. Dave, you got a copy of it?
I don't have it.
Ah, as luck would have it. Hold my papers again. I thought I put one in here.
See, maybe it's supposed to go together.
Hmm?
Part 2 assessment. Will a proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? Would be no to that. Will a proposed action result in a change in use or intensity of use of land? Answer would be no. Will a proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? It's always been commercial zone. The answer is no there. Will a proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? There is no critical environmental area, so the answer would be no. Will a proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? So no there. About 30 feet. Will a proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? It's kind of a restoration of the property. I don't know of any particular energy conservation practices that will be used, except it'll have to meet the state building code for Stacy's building department. Will a proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies? No, it's very minimal use. Public-private wastewater treatment utilities? has its own individual septic. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources known in that area? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in potential for erosion, flooding, and drainage problems? No. Actually, there's some pavement that's coming out of that, which should help drainage to a minor extent. Will the proposed action create a hazard to the environmental resources or human health? No. Based on the information that was given, along with Part 1 and Part 2 of the EAF, and any supporting documentation, proposed action does not appear to result in any significant adverse impacts. Negative declaration can be declared if the board is so willing.
Have a motion to declare a negative declaration on the, say it's looking good site plan.
Second.
Any further discussion on it?
Nope.
Nope. All those in favor?
Aye.
Help me, did we send this to county or ZBA? Did we?
Yeah.
We did.
We did
That's
send
we
it,
did.
yeah.
That's what I, you know,
That's what you said.
senior moments come every now and then. And they, okay. And I said at the meeting too. That's even worse.
That could be why.
True.
We're nodding off. huh?
Yeah, well, any comments on the site plans? I mean, we looked through it. I think it's a good reuse of that site. And
What are we doing on sidewalk?
there's no sidewalk on it that we have anywhere.
No, I mean for easement or for our standard easement.
Well, there's,
No, it's not straight.
it's a state road, so I'm not sure what,
Yeah.
We can do on that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're right on 32 here, so I'm not,
Well, what about the Humble Roads?
we don't want sidewalks up this road. Well, you can't, you know, the entrance is over here,
Oh,
so having anything over there would be not too helpful on that.
yeah.
And it's already a small lot, so I'm
It's
afraid about cutting it.
No, I agree. I just, you know, it may come up.
How large is the lot?
A third of an acre?
Yeah, it's very small.
Yeah, it's
No.
small residential ones.
14,000 square feet,
Yeah.
15,000, just under 15,000 square feet. So I would wait for a state action on the rest of that one. That's-
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to consider a waiver? Did they apply for a waiver?
40, 52, the waivers.
Were no waivers. He had everything on the site plan that was required on that.
Okay.
There's no 12117
Sidewalks and sewers and water
That's-
district. Yeah, it's not subdivision type of things.
Okay.
Okay, so it's, hey, any other questions? Have a motion to approve, site plan for Looking Good Naturally?
So moved.
We suggest three conditions.
I am, yeah, we're gonna, go ahead.
One is compliance with the ZBA requirements. Two is final review and approval of the signage by the building inspector. Three would be the landscaping note that we typically require. I think that would be.
That note was on the plan.
Is it?
I know
Is
we,
there we don't need it.
For the planning, for the,
there's a note about
Brochure.
the maintenance of the landscaping. I thought
yes,
that was
yeah,
on-
is with the ZBI, they already have that in there. We agree with that.
If it's there, we don't need it.
ZBI already has it in their notes. the condition.
Okay,
That we
there's a
maintain.
standard site plan note for landscaping, and I thought we had given that to either your engineer.
Yeah, we have that in there, right? With the,
Yeah, that's just, you know, all I want to do is just be sure that the note we have in there on maintenance basically says, the property owner shall be responsible for use and maintenance of ditches, pipes, catch basins, grates, detention ponds, and other drainage structures constructed in connection with providing access to his property. Property owner shall also trim bush and maintain his property in such a manner as to maintain optimal site distance. That's not the landscaping plan that you're on.
Different,
I
Okay,
can send that, certainly send that to you.
all right, so he'll contact your engineer and send him the landscaping maintenance note.
okay, okay.
And then, once he puts that on the site plan, then I can sign off on the site plan. And you can go ahead. Okay, so we have motion from Lyle that says basically
approval, yeah.
conditional approval to include all of the ZBA requirements that you already know of. And
signage,
signage approved by the building inspector and
the landscaping,
landscaping note.
anything else Dave thought was.
Okay. Right, second, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, so all you gotta do is modify the site plan with Dave's note,
For the landscaping,
landscaping.
okay.
And,
So I have David to
Right,
amend it to the site plan.
Yep.
and then when you get the,
You should,
go ahead.
it occurs to me, you should also add reference to the ZBA variance that was granted,
Yes,
the date,
Yes.
and the conditions of that,
sure.
so that there's a
Is
record on
is
the
in
site
the,
plan
although on the
itself.
site plan,
It's
yeah.
on the site plan itself.
Yeah.
I put the notes that the ZBA
Yeah.
gave you, put that on the site plan.
I'll get it from Kelly and we
Right.
put with the, exactly the wording is in there. All right, thank you very much.
You got the words.
All right, we got the wording. Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Okay,
Thank you.
hold on.
Yeah. Sign this.
Sign in the middle there and hopefully, yeah, well, I gotta sign that, I guess. Okay. So you got the words for the GBA. Dave will give the landscaping note
Okay,
and put it on the site plan, get it drawn up, drop it off with Kelly. I'll come in and sign off.
Okay.
And we can
good to
go
go.
to work.
Yep, a
Before
lot
you
of work.
Before you print them, you might want to send a copy to Dave,
Which, this, the map you mean?
just of what's changed, like the language you're adding. Send that to Dave so you can see.
Which language? The one that we already discussed today?
Yeah,
Yeah, all the notes that you have here, we put it
You
in.
can just put it on a PDF and send it to me by email. I can look at it and then tell Kelly that everything's good to go.
Okay. So basically put everything that we discussed now, send it.
Right. And I will give Dave Ryder the.
Okay, that would be the
landscaping
best way to do it. You know, if we,
note. Okay.
what David Wright have to do comes from you would be better than I tell him what to do.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be much excellent.
All right.
So you tell him what you need and he will do it.
Well, look, there's two things going on here. Let's
Yeah.
not get confused now.
Okay. He
Dave's
needs-
gonna tell the engineer what
What-
the landscaping note is.
Right.
What you're gonna tell your engineer is what the
ZBA.
ZBA
Yes,
said,
I
by
understand.
taking that paragraph and putting it on the site, on the
Okay.
plan.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I got that. He does his part, I do the ZBA part.
Yep,
Okay, on the site plan.
good.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
CVS, Grand Junction, come on up. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay.
How are you?
Well, let's talk about what you've done.
Okay. All right. Justin Dates from Mazer Consulting, Charles Bazzillo, the project attorney, and then Gary McCoy from Hoyant. He does the signage for the project. One item of business I just wanted to get out of the way. I'm a member of the New Paltz Bike and Pedestrian Committee.
Oh, so you know what they wrote?
No. But I wanted to just point out that that is a bit of a conflict of interest. So my dealings with the board and whatnot, I will be recusing myself from any reviews or memos that board or committee would be putting together.
Okay.
So that it does not impact my dealings as the one of the project consultants.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so from the last meeting we were at, the board presented a few concerns. One was dealing with signage and the overall square footage, which we were seeking a variance for. There was other comments regarding the building facade and the treatment of the structure, the exterior. And then also some of the site, the parking, landscaping, some things like that. So since that last meeting, what we've done, we put together a revised concept to address some of those building elevations, and then we've altered the signage for the project too as well. So I guess do you want to I see how you have the building out. Do you want to start there?
Well, why don't we start?
Or tell us what you changed.
Yeah. So the current building facade that you're looking at, what we did was I did bring a copy of the original too, and that was the brick, extensive brick, that monolithic kind of elevation that faces the thruway. And as you come across 299, there was concern about this being a gateway site and the visual and aesthetics of the site. So what we did was, you can see, we kind of toned things down a little bit. We've gone more of with earth type colors, beige, grays and browns, things like that with the facade. We took and incorporated like a cultured stone base along the perimeter, and then also accents up the structure. Mr. Klauser shared the Hampton Inn plans with me, so we saw how that was kind of incorporated in the same nature. So we did include that. The facades, the 299 and North Putt facades of the building. Previously, we just had pretty basic brick and some split block facing on there with just open windows. We have incorporated some more detailed faux windows with mullions and also awnings over the top of that. We do have the same awning over the front door access as well.
Are they really awnings, or what are they?
They are awnings over. They're
But they're
faux
metal?
windows. Yeah, the metal with a canvas wrap on it.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And you see we've used the Huguenot maroon because we are in New Paltz. Now this also shows the proposed signage on the building for the structure. Gary, I don't know if you want to touch base on.
Yeah, sure. Initially, we had signage on the south side facing 299, and on the west side, CVS Pharmacy, which flanks the entrance. We have a corner entrance. So we had signs there that were approximately 3 foot high. There were 75 square feet. We reduced those down to 33.50 square feet per sign. So that was a significant change on that set of letters.
Wait,
those
I
two
didn't
sets.
follow. You said originally they were 33 feet high? So
36 inches, 36 inches high,
3 feet high.
36 inches, 3 feet high, so what are they now?
24 inches.
Okay.
2 feet.
So square footage wise, you went from 75 to 33
Got
in
it.
round numbers.
And you can kind of, on the old elevation, you can kind of see, you know, how large they were on the building facade there.
The other signage that changed is we had some other ancillary signs on the building, photo and beauty, et cetera. We omitted those. And we had 2 sets. This store has a drive-through window, as I'm sure everybody knows. And it's important to identify that in some manner, because not all of the CVS's have drive-throughs. The original sign package had 2 sets of signs at 25 square feet each that said drive-through pharmacy. We omitted one. We'd like to try to retain one facing 299, which is the short side of the building, south elevation. We feel this is kind of pretty much directional in nature, because the way you access the site and the way you enter and exit to drive through, it's important for people to know that they got to come around the front of the building and come back. And it may be able to show it better on a site plan, but to better understand. So here is your, here is the drive-through canopy here, and the traffic flow is counterclockwise. So when you enter the site, you don't want to direct traffic this way or into here. They'd be going against the grain of the traffic. You want to get them to go around. And by having this drive-through pharmacy sign on that corner, it does in some way direct them. If we had one on the back, it might draw them to the back of the building. So we really want to try to retain that sign, and hopefully it could be accepted as, you know, directional in nature.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Where's the sign located?
The sign will be located on the short side facing
see.
299, which is
Okay.
right here. So,
Why can't, you know, we have this discussion about access management, why don't you just use a road to get you to the back of the building? But, you know, the problem that we're going to run into here is, I mean, I personally am not comfortable with the parking in the front of the building. I believe the parking should be in the back of the building. The front of the building should have a facade that feels more friendly to pedestrians, as opposed to something that you have to walk through a parking lot to get to the store. You know, I appreciate the color changes and some of the other changes that you've made. I think those are very nice improvements versus the original design. But you know, as you mentioned, this is a gateway property to our community. People getting off the thruway. Both tourists and residents are attracted to New Paltz because of our walkable Main Street. And I think when the first thing that you see is another strip mall, that's not, you know, what we've discussed as a community in terms of what's important to us.
Well, okay, we do want to touch on that. I'd like to just finish the signage, just kind of where we got with that. You know, so currently we are we're permitted 50 square feet total for the site. Our previous application, we were at 221.4 feet. We've gotten the current signage application down to 119.35 feet.
Does that require a variance anymore?
That does require a variance.
Still requires a variance.
Yep.
Yeah, about 69.35 feet.
They're allowed 50 square feet, and they're at 100 and, it's almost 120.
Yep. So we still.
And that includes the 2 signs on either side, and includes the drive-through
And the,
Yep.
and the freestanding.
And then
and
also.
then the freestanding.
Yeah, we have the ladder sign up on the corner of the site here. So to get into your comments, also the other variance that we were looking at did deal with parking in the front yard. It was confirmed that 299 and North Putt are both front yards. So the parking into those setbacks would require a variance. Previous application was 29 spaces. We did cut that back by 4 spaces, so we would be seeking a 25 a variance for 25 spaces in the front yard setback.
I'm completely uncomfortable with that.
Well, Tim, you know, is your main objection to the front yard that's bordering 299 or the front yard?
I just think that we should have buildings that echo what people appreciate about New Paltz, and a walkable Main Street where parking is in the back. We shouldn't be designing buildings to accommodate cars.
Yeah, well, but the
We
view-
can definitely, I don't understand why the parking for this building just cannot be behind the building. Drive
Just-
in, go behind the building, and the pedestrians can easily walk to the side or the back of the building. You can
Okay.
just move you can orientate your entrance to the side or the back of the building.
The main, some of the main clientele, for this facility are elderly.
And
So
they can
pushing
drive
them
to the back.
pushing them to the rear,
They
and having
can-
them walk to the front of the building.
No, as I just suggested, you can have your entrance in the back or the side of the building. You could have your entrance on that northwest corner, or, just on the north side.
For-
Tim, how does that make it more friendly to a walkable entrance?
Because it doesn't look like a strip mall, and because you can have sidewalks in front of the building.
I have to disagree. It's not a strip mall. It's a single building, and it's a specific use for building. It's a pharmacy. Where it's not a delicatessen. It's not a it's not a supermarket. It's a drugstorre.
Well, in urban areas,
Supermarket.
If I can just touch on that a little bit too, if I may. All of the CVS models are corner entrances, and the pharmacy is on the opposite corner for merchandising and security reasons for the drugs. So if you were to put the entrance where you're suggesting, you would now have the drive-through canopy facing the street, the back of the building. So that probably wouldn't be really appealing as well.
Yeah, loading, drive-through has all been pushed to the back of the site, which is a desirable planning process, so it's not visible. It's at the back of the site. One thing I want to point out is that the state right-of-way here, from the corner of our property and shared right-of-way line to the edge of pavement with 299, at the least is 42 feet away. Down closer to the overpass, we're almost at 60 feet. So we're already starting an average of 50 feet away from the road, okay? The B2 zoning then requires a 35-foot yard setback. So pushing things even further, deeper into the site, away from the walkable or the main streetscape that you're referring to. So
I don't think pedestrians should be required to walk through a parking lot to get to stores. I don't think that's good planning.
Well, we did add pedestrian connections, sidewalk along North Putt. We did add a sidewalk into and directly across from the main access
And
point.
they still have to walk through a parking lot.
That's correct.
On an average, how many vehicles go through the drive-through pharmacy a day? Normal store.
I don't have that number for you. Yeah.
Because based on the average, I'm uncomfortable with the dual-sided parking, and if you have a large volume of vehicles coming through that, with the vehicles backing out on both sides, with traffic flowing through, there's a large number of cars using the drive-through.
Where are you?
That's-
Just
On the side, your traffic flow. If there's a large number of vehicles that are not parking, but
and
just going
going
through
around
to
the
the
building for the
pharmacy,
drive?
but you also have parking on both sides, and so therefore you're going to have vehicles backing out on both sides with the flow of traffic coming through.
Coming around the
But
building.
that's standard of a two-way parking aisle. You're always going to have people backing out to get out of the site, coming in.
But that was my
That's-
first question, how many vehicles are just going to drive through and go to the drive-through window? Because that will increase the amount of traffic.
I think we've looked at the swapping the building around, moving it up, and I think where the sidewalks are, and then it's one of the keys if we're going to make this a sidewalk, is where do we think the sidewalk should be And then from there, where should the front of the building be? And to that extent, one could also take a look at moving the building up to North Putt Corners Road and front it there, since the sidewalk is there, and have the building behind it still being able to effectuate a drive-through window through the back. And in other words, what I'm saying is, we all talk about moving it up to Main Street, and you're telling me, even if I get up to the edge as close as I can and still not need a variance for front yard, I'm 100 feet back from the 299.
Correct, but that's also very similar to what's going on North Putt as well. I mean,
What is the setback requirement from the road?
35 feet
35
from the
feet.
property line. So as you can see, green just representing landscaping or vegetated areas. You can see, physically how far away we are. This bold line here is the property line. The edge of pavement is out here, so you can see, similar setbacks before we even get into our actual property.
So how, from that corner of the building, from your property line to the building right now, how far is it?
Which one?
I'm sorry, which?
Right there under your finger, from there
Like
to
from
the
here?
southwest corner of the building,
Southwest. So,
straight across there. What?
let's see, so we have 30, 50, 70. That's over 100 feet as well. 'Cause
Well,
this
it
is
seemed
about,
like
it's about
with
40
a
feet.
double road and two parking, you would be
That's-
losing 36, 22. You'd be losing
Hmm.
about 56 feet there if you didn't have the parking between the store and the road.
You'd be losing the parking, is what you're saying.
Well,
If you brought the
not
building
losing
all the way up
Well,
to
someplace else,
you
but-
could not bring the parking all the way up, because then you're in a variance for the,
Correct.
you can't bring the building all the way up, because then you're losing your 35-foot setback that you need for a variance for that. But if you did bring the building up, angled it so it was closer in, took those parking spots that you had on that side of the building, moved into the other side of the building, then, of course, you guys will complain that parking is further from the front door.
Where's the property line?
This heavy
Black
black
line.
line.
And they gotta be 35 foot.
I mean, you could also put just one row of parking between North Putt and the building, have a road, parking towards the building, and then pedestrians would only have to deal with one row of traffic.
They would still be crossing the same lane though.
I'm much more comfortable having applicants pursue variances that make for better planning. Like if you wanted less of a setback to get the building closer, to encourage more of a streetscape, to encourage more of a sidewalkscape, I'm much more encouraged to encourage applicants to pursue variances for reasons like that. We did that recently with another applicant where there was the code required them to do something, and we were like, why don't you get a variance to preserve green space? And just being more mindful of the kind of planning that we want to have throughout Main Street, throughout New Paltz, I think is very important, as opposed to a CVS with a parking lot in the front that you would see in any other town. That's what's different, is New Paltz is a different community.
Tim, understanding your feelings about that, I think you also have to take into consideration where this site sits. There's three other corners here too. None of those other facilities.
And if we don't start doing this now, it will never happen. We have to be proactive, and if we just throw our hands up and say, oh, well, that's where all the strip malls are.
You got to get away from a strip mall. That's not what we're dealing with.
Okay, but to me, it looks like a strip mall. I mean, if you want to tell me the definition is incorrect, but to me, that looks like a strip mall.
I think, but again, from our perspective on it, the idea was getting the building as close to the road as possible. And to get that pedestrian sense, sidewalk sense. I can live with again, landscaping and some things in front on 299, because I'm not proposing any, as far as I know, there's no sidewalk on the north side of the bridge.
Correct. It's
So
on the
I'm not
south
sure I
side.
want anybody walking on the north side to anywhere. But I do want to see the sidewalk on the Putt Corners side of the site, and that's where you'll get the pedestrian traffic in that way. And the idea is, how can I angle the building out close to that, and go? I mean, to the extent that you have parking in the front, and you've done the extent to minimize it, I think some of it is to, you know, like Lyle said, one row of parking, and kind of move the building that way. Again, the parking meets the parking requirements, though generally speaking, unless it's Christmas time, the parking lots are not full. They're by the door. Most CVS, most drugstores have, don't require as many, it's in and out type of thing. I mean, it's not people there spending an hour shopping at CVS or Rite Aid or any of the other ones. They get in, they go in for their stuff and come out, so it's a fast changeover of the people. So I think that there's some merit is to move away from the doubling up of the parking in the front in order to minimize that, and then, okay, the question comes up, where do I put it?
Where do you put it?
Yeah.
Because if you put it in the back, then you're going to be crossing the drive-through lane to go.
Just a clarification. On the, coming in from 299, say a person is going to the drive-through, how would they get to that drive-through window?
They would drive straight through to here.
Okay, and so the traffic coming around the building would be, so there would be two separate lanes merging into one. The one coming.
Where?
They basically will have a stop sign.
Yeah, so traffic that would come from around and travel east, there's a stop sign here, so that this traffic is not stopped and would not have any backup onto 299. So that's all through. Yes.
What was discussed in the letter from Bill Weinstein and the Bike Ped Committee regarding the proposed bike lanes along 299 on the north side, or along the north side of 299?
I did not read the memo, but we had a gateway meeting with the county on this project going back a few months. We are aware of the studies and the potential connection with Lloyd and New Paltz rail trails, things like that. One of the desired locations was coming over 299. Right now, there's about a 10-foot shoulder on 299. We did shift, from our initial plan, we did shift our decel lane over to provide for a through, or about a 6-foot shoulder to come through there. And then also, you know, North Putt to Henry W. was the other area that was studied for potential connections. As far as I know, there's no concrete plans or construction documents that are out there for those connections, so we're doing our best not to impede any future bike lanes or shared pathways, things like that.
I'm just really uncomfortable and discouraged by this type of design.
Well,
So I could understand, you're particular, Mike, you're talking about eliminating this row of parking here and then bringing the building that much closer? Because if you lose these spaces, where do we put them?
Yeah, I can eliminate them. I don't know where they're going. I'm just trying to say there's a potential for that, and by moving the building up, yeah, you're trying to get everybody by the door. and there's only one
Correct.
door, and the door is
That's
over
the
in
main
that corner.
entrance.
So anytime you move a parking space further from the door, you know,
Right.
it's an overflow, but to the extent that you shifted the building up, you could put parking space on the east side of the building, and you could, yeah, but you moved
But
the
you're-
building, you know, to the extent that you've moved it, you could move the, you know, I'm just saying, you could effectuate putting parking on the east side of the building, against the building, and you could follow it between that and the drive-through such that the drive-through does come through all the way. You could have a little section on that. I'm just
Well,
thinking out loud on
Yeah,
that. I haven't measured them off, and I know you're gonna lose some space, but to the extent that we get to shift some of the building
you're
forward.
only going to bring the building as closer as the length of a car. That the
18 feet.
the 18 feet, the length of a parking space, and it's already quite a distance from this, where the sidewalk is already. I mean, I'd say the better idea would be to enhance that sidewalk, that pedestrian connection down into the site, and make it more conducive for people to want to come down that way. I don't think moving it 18 feet is going to make it all that much more walkable.
Why don't you just get rid of the
drive?
drive-through?
Well, that's a major
No, that's-
component of the operation.
yeah.
But you said most CVSs do not have it, so why does this CVS need to have a drive-through?
I said not all have.
Not all have.
Well, what's the percentage?
I would say more have than don't, but.
But
and
in
also-
urban communities that are encouraging walking do not have drive-throughs.
We're not in an urban community.
Sure we are. That's why people are moving to New Paltz. That's why people are attracted to this community, because of our walkable Main Street. Go anywhere else in the US and you don't have those options, but we do.
Well,
So
you just, yeah,
ongoing
okay.
development should take advantage of what's unique about our community.
What would, on the table, what are some of the things that would enhance that walk?
The walkway down, landscaping, lighting on it.
Yeah,
Hate
we
to bring up
did.
the idea of a sign, but, you know, a pedestrian directional sign. You could make that very encouraging to come down off the sidewalk into the.
What's the grade
We
difference?
did
at this
talk,
point?
you're gonna
Yeah.
go there.
Yeah.
We are raising the site up, so it is closer to the elevation of 299 and North Putt at this corner. And we did talk with DOT and Ulster County DPW about grading within their right-of-way, and also getting landscaping, streetscape into that as a component of the project.
So
which
what are we
they're-
talking about? What is the difference? What is the
Oh,
elevation?
so.
What's the floor level of the
roughly is,
store versus the street up there?
398, and 299 is about 400, 402.
So
there's
within a couple feet?
Yeah,
Okay.
figure about a 3
Yeah,
foot
there's not
difference.
going to be a huge set of stairs. You know.
No, no.
Another thing
It's
that's
gonna be
concerning me is
traversable.
these ghost operations that are still shown on here, and the two-way driveway here, which I don't see any reason for, aside from supporting a future pad.
Well, that's what those are depicting, for potential
I
future
know, well,
pads
that's
right now.
segmentation, when you're planning to
No.
develop.
And we're not looking for
We're not
approvals on
looking for
these. Somewhere along the way, we were asked to show
What could be
what else
developed
could
on a full
possibly go on
development.
that site.
We didn't want them developing the site and then precluding any further development if they wanted it. And so what we wanted to do is take a look at what could be developed on the
What could be
site. And such that whatever CVS does, it doesn't preclude doing something else if that came to that, and how it would look. So that's what we're just trying to get a feel of that.
How many employees are going to be part of the store?
In one shift, I think it's around 8.
Okay, where does the employees park?
Well, we would encourage in the rear to not take up, customer parking.
So you have 8 to 10 parking
We have-
spots in the rear?
Back over.
We have 14, yeah, which is, we originally had 8, and we did shift another 6 back behind, where we picked up, landscaping adjacent to the building, and also to break up the parking as part of our latest revision.
one of the things, we talked about landscaping on it from a conceptual point of view, and I know this goes contrary to what, any store wants to do, but one of the things is that whole green space around that whole site is, what are we talking about landscaping-wise, from a visual point of view? And then what we're talking about, I know from a CVS point of view, you want to drive down 299, you want to see, oh, there's CVS, and be able to pull in and go on it. But, after that driveway, you're basically, quote unquote, past CVS. You may see a sign or may see something on it. But the effect of putting sufficient trees in there to soften, that would be a good word, that whole line of going through, and rather than the open blacktop, open asphalt that they would see there.
Well, I think that's what you talked about, the idea that DOT is going to allow us permission to do landscaping in that.
Street trees, obviously, we have to do something along the parking, screen headlights, things like that, screen cars. And that's, we did incorporate additional against the building to complement the building modifications. We wanted to have landscaping against the building. So we can have some upright evergreen trees, things like that to further soften, especially the view from the thruway side.
I'd like to see the applicant review the bike ped letter, because this plan does not reflect any discussion that occurred in that bike ped letter.
No, we just got it on July 14th, so it's...
I know, so let's ask the applicant to review the letter and respond after they've read it.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things, yeah.
That bike ped letter echoes the values of our community, and this plan does not.
I don't necessarily agree with you.
Okay, well then you can disagree by going point by point through the bike ped letter.
Well, two things.
We will go through the letter and we will provide a response.
Absolutely. Because I think the public is going to have an enormous problem. The bike ped looks at these things broadly. They look at what's important to the community, and they address very specifically a lot of the discussions, a lot of the proposed actions, bike paths, pedestrian usage, and how those things would be incorporated into this type of site. They're very specific. It's a, I'm sure you know as well as anyone that Bill Weinstein is very thorough.
Yes, understood. But we've had these discussions prior with the county and things like that. So I don't.
But have you had it with New Paltz's bike ped committee? And that's what is lacking in this
Okay, well that just came in today, correct? So the chairman was at this Ulster County meeting with us, and I believe that.
But a lot of the same things that are in Bill's. He just echoed a lot of the same stuff that I brought up the last time you were here. So this is not like new information.
All right. Let's try to wrap up where we want to go with this thing on it. I think some of the things. Take a look at the letter we got from the bike ped committee and try to address the issues that were raised in there. I think the other thing is how do we soften the image of the facility and enhance the gateway for pedestrian, to encourage pedestrian access to it. I'm not sure, take a look at, or tell me why it doesn't make much sense to move the parking lot.
Move the parking, okay.
One or the other on it. The other thing that I got, and that gets to my pet peeve now, there are many designs of CVS buildings. And I've seen the standard block ones, I've seen a lot of different ones on it. I think there are different designs. Now, I don't know who, what, where, or how they come up with what design goes with what building or what reasons they use for it. But, I have, and I just, for want of anything else, this is my favorite, so I'm going to give them that. Of course, it has the oversized sign, but we'll talk about it. But again, some of these things, may have potential in different, you know, I don't know if you get a catalog of CVS buildings that are 13,000 square feet, and they have different frontages, different shapes, and it meets the, I know some of them are, you know, like I said, the front door and a pharmacy's in the back, and some of them are spread this way depending on the site, some are spread this way on it. I think what I've seen from the brick and from basically the changeover is the basic quote-unquote design of a CVS store. It doesn't allow for too much flexibility in the basic design, and I'm trying to say that they do have other designs out there. And I don't know what it means to pick a different design or to go to a different shape of the store. Okay, I haven't gotten into that at all. I have no idea. You know, you're the engineers on it, but they basically, out of CVS, you know, these are the CVS stores. This is the basic footprints on
I
it.
think some of it's reflective on what kind of volume do they think they can do with the store. I mean,
how much are they, well, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
how much money can they make on this site versus how much do they have to put into the building in the
Right,
beginning? So
I understand.
yeah.
So, but again, what I'm trying to get at is that I think we want to kind of push the envelope a little bit and see what you can get from a different design on it. Because again, even if we soften it, we still have well, it wasn't brick now it's a stone facade wall that may have some evergreens on it, but still just doesn't show anything, and then a flat roof.
I actually think that the changes that Justin discussed, in terms of the colors, more use of stone, and a smaller sign, I think are great improvements. And I think a lot of those design elements that he shared with us, including the awning and the faux windows, I think those looked pretty solid. I think those are definitely the direction we want to head in as far as how the building should look from a facade point of view.
Well, I think again, I won't argue with that. It's definitely a betterment from saying the brick wall, so I'll give him credit for that. I'm just trying to push it a little further and see. Does it make sense? I mean, we've gone with the windows. We've done that with Hampton Inn on roofs and things of that sort, just to give that sense of it. If it's in the ballpark or feasible or somewhere close to it, I just thrown it out as a study on it rather than going with the flat roof. I think it gives the building more shape, more visibility, so it may not need all the signage that it has on it. So, and I think the other thing I'd like to see is maybe from a conceptual point of view, but the drive going down 299, and this is what we plan on for the green space, seeing that. So as he comes up, you know, to turn in as it goes, but further down as he passes it, this is how we're going to treat that.
We spoke about putting like that something together, driving east and driving west,
and just and again, from a conceptual point of view, what you want to see. Obviously, with the, you know, from a CVS point of view, you want everybody to see the store on it. But I think there are ways to enhance the visuals on it, and you know, it may help. And again, from my point of view, it may help your issue on signage. That if I do mask the store in with this green space, I may need a justification for a sign because they may not see it at all because of the green requirement. So, you know, you're gonna. I could send it to the ZBA, and they're gonna, say, well, why should we give you a variance and for the square footage? And you got to come back with something that says the reason we're asking for this variance is we're, softening the space with landscaping that will affect the corridor down Main Street, affect 299 and North Putt, and this is why. And I think it just helps your argument of why you need the signage. But if you just go the way it is now, I'm not sure you would even get first base. That's why I'm cautioning you on us forwarding this to the ZBA on that. I'd like to be able to say that we've looked at moving the building around. We looked at moving the building closer to the road and to eliminate a row of parking. This is what ends up putting parking. This is where it impacts the drive-through. This is where it impacts people's access to get into the store. Some justification why it's difficult to move that. Some rationale behind that rather than just, you know, we can't do that. So I'm looking for the rationale that you're putting on, and you pointed out, like Charlie pointed out, is, you know, if I move that and took a row out, I move it 18 feet, what am I getting, and then what kind of impact am I having on the other side of that? We know there's a sizable distance, and that people aren't going to be walking down over the bridge, but they'll definitely be walking, you know, we'll have sidewalks there, sidewalks there.
Correct.
We'll have to ensure that the DOT is aware that we want a crosswalk, and I hate to say it, but the pedestrian crossing button on Putt Corners, like we have at the other locations in town, and it has to take into consideration that right-hand turn out to North Putt. So I think those are the main things that I want to drive at is if you're going to seek the variances on it, you got to give me some justification of why it doesn't work in some sort of narrative form and show that. I think from a signage point of view, if you want the excess signage, you got to show why you need the excess square footage, because this is how we're softening up the landscaping and the visions of it that are going forward on it. Tim's point and the Bike Bed Committee's point is they'd love it up on the road. Why being up on the road isn't really up on the road with a sidewalk. It isn't like the bank, I don't know which bank it is, but it's the one right on the road, the old Lent House. It isn't up on the road like K&E or McDonald's or Burger King, because the closest we can get up on the road is by code and by DOT right away.
Correct.
This is as close as we can get to the road.
But look at where Ulster Savings Bank is. You have Main Street, a section of grass, a sidewalk, a section of grass, and then a road in front, but there's limited or no parking in front of Ulster Savings Bank. The parking is primarily behind the building. And the advantage of having parking behind the building, cars go slower on roads when buildings are closer to roads. People are more encouraged to walk when they are closer to buildings. People don't walk very far when they feel they're in the middle of no man's land. And by planning and designing communities that are more encouraging of walking, then you're going to get more walking. And if you have just enormous setbacks and the buildings are 100 feet away from the, you know, people are not going to walk. And that's why this type of planning matters.
I think one of the things that you can look at, and again, I don't have any expertise on it, but there are, we're challenging the basic design of the building, of the doors in front and the pharmacy in the back from a security point of view, but that's not every way CVS has built a store. There are differences out there in their location and in their setup. I know one that has right on the front door and backs onto a parking lot, 2 doors in it. So again, I'm not an expert on CVS. I don't know if that's totally unusual for them or do they see that. But one of the things they asked corporate, besides some design issues, what are other layouts, store layouts that are acceptable for this type of store facility? And can we put the pharmacy against another wall and then effectuate an entrance in the back of the building? And I wouldn't say the back of the building, but maybe on the side, down one side of that building, probably where the Y is on the pharmacy. Those are the kind of questions that we got, and to take a hard look at those issues. They may not. I mean, when you get into these these stores,
Yeah, I
they have
know
a
that-
standardized design,
That's-
and they're pretty well locked
It
into it.
is
But they do
logical, it is
accommodate,
logical in how
yeah,
their
oh, I
facility
know.
works.
But they do accommodate sites, because not every storefront is a 13,000 square foot building, and that's a CVS store. There's, you know, that's what they like to stand it to fit, and it all sends the same message across, but they do accommodate the sites. I'm just asking, is there other accommodations rather than the basic blueprint that they can lay? Again, I'm saying from a store layout point of view, what would it be to effectuate a second entrance? So it's kind of another question that's thrown out on top of the table on it. I know you get a little frustrated on it, but again, we're all trying to get the best because you got probably one of the premier locations, and you know, we're just trying to get to that when people come in or drive in or walk in or ride in, and definitely the rail trail will become, as it develops more and more bike in, that we see that as being a positive visual aspect to the town on its entrance.
Understood, which we definitely want to do, and
Yeah.
I think we're you know, doing our best to work in that direction.
I know I know we get to looking at it, but unless you sit down and say, the reason we don't have any, CVS doesn't have any second entrances on stores is because of the following reasons. Although they do, you know, they do have accommodated at times, and what are the reasons when they accommodated for, you know, that type of thing. It's just to give us a feel on it, rather than just here's a cookie cutter.
We'll go back and ask them.
Yeah.
I think it's got to come down to an issue of what the performer for this site is,
Well,
and
yeah.
whether it's something they can do or not. You know?
Yeah, and again, I just think that, you know, we're looking at what we can go on it to. All right?
All right, very good.
Kelly, make sure the applicant gets a copy of the Bike Ped Committee's memo, so you guys will have that.
You want to review the tracking sheet with the applicant to make sure we have...
We got review the Bike Ped Committee letter, review landscaping options and improvements, and I think what we're talking about, I don't want a landscaping layout on it, but I want to talk about 299 North Pike Corners, how we're softening up that. What are we doing with that green space? How about that? And then, and what's your vision for that? Different CVS does different architectural designs. How's the store designed? And that's when we got into, you know, if this was in Beverly Hills, they would have a different set of dollars than they would here. But how far can we get with something like that? And I agree with Tim that I don't want to knock you on it. It was a good move in that direction. I'm just want to see if I can get further down. Are there other store layout options, you know, accommodate a second store entrance? That's, I think, what we're trying to...
On the architectural, you want to look at a non-flat roof? Is that the-
It's on this, other than the flat roof, something other than the flat roof. Hampton Inn came in, and they wanted a variance for height. And one of the things they keyed on that was that they were going to put all the energy efficiency heating and cooling up in the roof.
Right.
Rather than the flat roof and open it up. If that makes, you know, sense, one could go for a variance on the height with that kind of justification, because the ZBA kind of granted that because it was an improvement in the energy efficiency of the building. I'm just throwing out ideas.
Yeah.
Okay?
Understood.
I know you're gonna have all the stuff. All your stuff is up on the roof.
On the roof.
And to the extent that you can
Screen it with that cornice, that's what we're...
Scored it
Yeah.
with a parapet or something on top.
Yeah, it's a
like
parapet, yeah, with a cornice.
Yeah, to the extent that, you know, you can improve the efficiency of the equipment. Okay.
Mind if I use your pen?
No, you can use Lyle's pen.
Ready?
Right there in the middle. That's- I can, so you can read it up front.
Okay,
But that, Kelly will send you a copy.
thank you. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah, good night.
Appreciate it. Definitely appreciate you listening to us.
Thank you.
Okay. You finish your book? Come on up. I'm only teasing. I always like to see somebody at least doing something productive while we're mouthing off and talking about different things.
Makes the time go by quicker.
You're brave. I'll give you the challenge.
What's that?
If you can decipher Peter's handwriting, then you will become a remarkable individual. Right there. Okay, so what have you? What do you have for us today?
I made all the changes and did everything that they'd asked me to.
Okay.
And I was at the ZBA last week for a sign, variance for the sign, and pergola setbacks. So
And?
they scheduled a public hearing.
Public hearing, right. So we'll have to sit on that and wait for that to, your public hearing is in August?
Yeah.
And then they will forward it to county after that? Well, I'm just getting time frames, so I just, to the extent that we can set them up simultaneously, so they don't want the county to think twice. Didn't we just hear this last month? Yeah, but that was the ZBA, this is the planning board, so. Okay. Any issue, Dave?
Kevin sent me the lighting information. That worked out well. It's not going to be an issue as far as too bright. Shown on.
Is that adequate for county?
Yes.
Okay. What's other poles?
I had one really minor question on drainage. You're using, under the bigger patio, you're using pavers and perforated pipe into an infiltrator.
Right, I think it's overkill, to tell you the truth, but the owner was willing to do it. He was out there a few storms ago when we had a lot of rain, and there was nothing. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. And I talked to Stacy about it, and she didn't think it was going to be a problem either. But we put it in there anyway.
I'm just curious about the soil that you've got the infiltrator on. Will that infiltrate? Or would it make more sense just to run a discharge pipe down slope to the back?
I think it will, between the landscaping and gravel, I think it will just infiltrate.
Okay.
I don't think it's a big enough area to worry about. And it's kind of flat, so I didn't really know where to run it, where I would run it out for daylight anyway. So.
Okay. Board have any questions, comments? We've seen this before. She's taken up and addressed everything. We got the public hearing scheduled for August with the ZBA. So we really can't move too much forward on that, on it. But I wanna, if we sit on it till, then we could always make a motion now to send it to county, but wait till the ZBA, acts on the public hearing, so they go up together. That's what I'm gonna do, because we can send it to county now, they'll get it in August, and then ZBA will do something in August and send it to county in September. So, is there anything else?
Do
Speaker, at this point, because this is largely an existing project,
Yeah.
minor exterior modifications, could consider secret.
Okay. I just got one. As you know, you ready for that one, huh?
Remember, just landscaping and a patio.
I understand. I'm looking out for the owner. To the extent that the Hampton Inn is going in behind you, ask him about a consideration, because I see myself, or I see catering to weddings with people staying at the Hampton Inn, who would have the ability to walk between the two, rather than go out and walk on Twilliger Lane. There is, it's heavily treed back there. It looks, there's a little bit of a knoll up there, or a hill to climb up on the back. But see the consideration of, again, a walking path, that's all. Access to Hampton Inn behind it. I haven't looked at Hampton Inn to know what we got, but I think it's parking on that side.
I think it's pretty close there too, Mike.
Yeah.
Mine, but I don't think it'll be much of a distance to get to.
I think, I know that they're very excited about the Hampton Inn coming in, and I think that, because they don't know what it's gonna look like either. They don't know what the plan is either. But I do know that they're excited about them coming in, and so I think once they come in, they'll be able to sort of, work with whatever the plan ends up being. Stacy had mentioned maybe something having to do with sidewalks. They were open to that when the time came, but they're kind of running out of money now, so they're just doing a little bit at a time. And but they do want to somehow work with the hotel once they come in. They just don't know, what's going to look like.
I just don't want to see you coming in for a site plan for a path and access. I just maybe want to leave something in there. Just think about theoretically, where it could possibly go, to the extent that we can show you what the Hampton Inn's layout is, or Stacy has that. And it's just, conceptual type of thing, that it's agreement on that with the Hampton Inn to put a walkway in. At least you have it on the site plan, pending, agreement with Hampton Inn, some to that effect. So the fact that, no, we don't want to do it there, we want to do it there, you don't have to worry about it.
Well, I figure whoever's staying here will make it. Those are the ones who decide where it ends up.
But
when they walk through there.
I just, people, well, that's what he said.
We could show a general location, and it could be installed at such time as both parties agree that's what it should be.
I mean, you don't have too many choices back there. If you look at that tree line there, those trees are big, and there's one small tree, and there may be one possibility there. But just talk with him, think about it, and if I see it on the site plan as, pending and things of that sort, I know at least, you get agreement, you can go to the building inspector and say, look, we're gonna now put this in, okay?
Okay.
And,
so it doesn't have to be like in stone wherever I put it, just.
Some general location within 50 feet.
otherwise,
I think that's a great idea. Is there an issue, though, with including it on the site plan, but then not doing it right away while you're trying to feel out if that is the right spot?
It would be similar to what was done for Stop and Shop, where the applicant at that point said, we agree to a condition to provide access at such time as the owner on the other side had a project and they reached agreement. So if you know generally where it's going one way, the logic is there's going to be a counterpart on the other side. If it doesn't work out in that general area, then you want to look at it. As long as you know generally where it's going, you know, and you don't have a concern about that specific area, I think you can be fairly flexible and provide for it to be done in the future. Deal to be struck. There's only an easement on both sides.
Yeah, this one, and again, looking that way, I drove there today, and I just looked at the back and said, where could I go? And there wasn't too many, without taking down some significant trees, which I wouldn't venture it. So, and again, a general statement to that effect is, and I think it would help him in the long run when the Hampton Inn comes in, to have that, because then people can walk to it without walking through the road or coming out of the road or anything
Right.
else like that.
That could be a condition of your approval, is it not require removal of any tree over 4 inches, 6 inches, whatever you
Yeah, well, take a look at the spot
Yeah, I
and see
mean,
what
we
he
try
wants
to do
in.
it without removing any trees.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming the Hampton Inn's not really removing too many on their side back there?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we'd have to
Okay.
pull it, yeah, we would pull it out, but it was something that we can talk about. Because they will be cleaning up the site back there, I just,
We'll be finding out pretty soon.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna start by now.
Yeah, once comfortable, we can do the environmental assessment, unless board has any other questions on the site. Let's do the, seek a determination.
Okay, part 2, will a proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? Please no. Will a proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of land? Please no. Will a proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? There is no critical environmental area, so the answer is no. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonable available energy conservation and renewable energy opportunities? This is all outside work for approval. Proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, and walkway? It's the same use, just an improvement of the prior use. The answer is no. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies, public or private wastewater treatment utilities? The answer is no. Again, the same use. Will the proposed action impair the character and quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? The answer is no. The closest cultural resource is the cemetery over here by front of the Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora or fauna? Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
Okay. We have a motion for a negative declaration on the Novella roof wall exterior upgrades. No significant environmental impact.
So moved.
Thank you, Peter. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Al. Any further discussion? Nope. Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
I was just thinking, maybe it is advantageous to send it up to counties, but if we get county reading in the beginning of August prior to your public hearing with the ZBA. So I'd like to make a motion that we forward Novella New Paltz exterior upgrade project to the Ulster County Planning Board.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right. So, yeah, I think, as I was thinking through it, I think if we send it up to county, if county has any comments on it at the public hearing, and ZBA, if it impacts what they're doing, but if they say no county impact, it also would, the ZBA would then do that, and then you would know, even though ZBA still has to send it to county, you're going to get the same answer back.
Right, okay.
So we'll send it up at August 2nd meeting as August 5th or whatever it is.
Mike, the only other thing is just the waivers that Kim has listed here. They're all make sense, except for the waiver of county planning board referral needs to be done. Otherwise, it's all
Yeah, I got that somewhere here.
minor
Okay.
pieces. That's Kim's letter.
Revised June 20th, okay. They're asking, it's in your folders, they're asking for a waiver of,
Example of topo on the site and utilities. It's just they're doing small pieces here, nothing, no real site disturbance.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion? That's what we're looking at. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Are we getting a sidewalk on 2 roads in?
What were we doing on that, on Twilliger? There was some talk with the town on that.
There's a little improvement in principal water main for the Hampton Terwilliger.
Okay,
I have a question. So with the drainage infiltrator, are we okay with how I did it?
I didn't hear that, Kim.
With the drainage infiltrator, then I'm okay with the way I did it on the drawing?
Fine.
Okay.
Didn't know if it was necessary or not, but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's necessary, but I think it's fine. He was fine with doing it.
somebody want to make a motion on the waivers? I mean, they're basically saying we're not changing the electric, the utilities, it's all in the ground and it's all there already, or anything else to that effect.
Sure, I'll make a motion.
Now, does this include sidewalks, or are we waiving the sidewalk on the curb? Seems like from the end to there is the optimal place to, or not optimal, but an appropriate place to extend the sidewalk.
Hey, you lost me. Where are you putting the sidewalks?
Onto Villager Lane from past the hotel. I don't know if we have it on.
You're talking about the super.
No, it would be across on the property to this lot.
Yeah, but this is,
Here.
yeah, this is the property line here, and then it goes, you have these driveway entrances here, so,
Well, otherwise, people are walking across the parking lot. If they're coming down here, I mean, it's the last place to go to, but certainly,
He'll just take the little path we'll put in.
that's why I was trying to get them off the road.
I like the idea of the sidewalk easement.
so your
Yeah.
easement would basically be from wherever the property line is here. Is this it?
Yeah, I think this,
This one here, so. mean, maybe that's
We
the
have
extent
any,
of it.
yeah, what do we own, what's the town own on Terwilliger Lane? Was it just, that's the old road, I mean.
Yeah, it's 50 feet, 25 feet off the center line.
I don't think we have 25 feet.
I don't think we have 25 feet of road, yeah, that's. Okay, let's grant waivers for everything, and then we'll talk about sidewalks, except for sidewalks, excuse me. So can I have a motion to grant the waivers for site plan as noted in the letter dated June 20th from the applicant, except for the sidewalks
And the county review.
and the county review, correct. I'll make the motion. Is there a second? Okay. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. So the second one is, we're looking for an easement?
Yeah, I
I'm
think-
marking an easement on
I think
that.
an easement, and I think it's I'm not sure what we have in the Hampton Inn on Tremont.
Yeah.
I can't remember, it's been too long, but it'd be a shame if we had a sidewalk on Hampton Inn and it stopped at the property line for Terwilliger instead of going.
Going the rest of the way.
It would also facilitate someone coming from Super 8 down the Brooks, if they wanted to use it. One possibility is the town could consider doing town law 200 improvement to the sidewalk. Basically creating a district among the three properties that would pay for that. So perhaps we can inquire of the town board as to their preference.
What's been our practice to at least take an easement, right?
Yes.
So,
Request.
Whatever doesn't hold me up.
oh, we're marching,
But they want to put landscaping in by October.
Okay,
Otherwise, we have
wait.
to wait till spring. Can we get like conditional? Or some of that?
You can't get anything. I can't move ahead of the ZBA. I can't move
No,
ahead
no,
of
no,
county.
I know, but I just meant if
On the
the
diagram.
sidewalk, I don't want the sidewalk to hold me up.
All I want is to show a sidewalk easement
Okay.
on it,
All right.
such that if we create a district, the town has the easement necessary for it. And
It's 15 feet.
15? So should I just look at Hampton Inn's site plan to see where theirs is so it connects in the right spot?
that would help.
Well, you're only talking about an easement, though.
Yeah. Oh, so it's just a note or?
But you really,
It's a marking on an easement. It's just like an easement that you would draw on anything else.
your map shows edge of
The town
pavement,
board
but
was-
your property may actually be from center of pavement 25 feet, so you may be clear over to here. So maybe we already own that section.
Actually, Lyle, I scaled, and it looks like the property line here is at 25 feet off the center of the road, believe it or not. It's a 16 scale. It's a little different.
So we would likely have room for a sidewalk already on the town right away.
And I apologize, just if memory serves me, there's a sidewalk on the west side, a sidewalk on the north side of the Hampton Inn along, I believe that's Terwilliger, but I don't believe it curves around the back. Is that right to go?
The sidewalk along South Putt.
South Putt, which
Putt,
would be the
yeah.
west side of the property.
and
There's a
then one-
sidewalk along, I believe there's a sidewalk, or is it only along the property face? It's not on Terwilliger. There is a sidewalk along the north-facing side of the Hampton Inn, but I believe it's along the property, not on Terwilliger.
It's inboard, right?
I don't know how you describe it. It's along the building itself.
I don't recall one that runs along Twill.
Not Terwilliger, but
No.
along the building. I don't know, and then there's a separated by parking. So I don't know how that affects this. Not that I'm against, I don't believe the board would be against at all to having the easement. That is the discussion is, would we want a sidewalk along also the north side on Terwilliger that separates the parking between Terwilliger and Hampton Inn that would then connect to their property. I apologize to add a complexity.
That's all right.
I believe, I'm not speaking to the board, but as myself on the board, I believe we would support it absolutely an easement if not developed at all. So obviously, this property is going to be looking to do the banquet stores, weddings and whatnot out of there. And whatever we can do and whatever plans they have that we can help with it, and we're happy.
I think what we're gonna look for from you is the sidewalk easements, 15-foot easements along wherever your property line is. To the extent we
Pretty
can.
much is that here, for the
Okay.
kind of right to the edge of pavement of the parking lot, property line.
Okay. So it's basically 15 feet inside the property line.
Yes.
Now what about where, so then, but not in the part where it jogs in? Okay. I'm gonna put my sign now.
Well, to the extent, yeah, to the extent that it ties in with Hampton Inn, then necessarily we don't need an access path per se, because we have some safety of people walking back and forth between the two places.
Okay.
So that's what it is. Okay?
Okey-doke.
So we'll send it to county, they'll review it early August, and CBA is the second Tuesday of the month. So we'll meet on the 11th, and they'll meet on the 12th, but the county would have reviewed it the week before. So we'll both know what's going on, okay?
Okay, so I'll
Okay.
come back then here on the,
Well, you may not have to come back here on the 11th.
Okay.
Because we can't take action until the ZBA takes action,
okay.
okay?
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
You're the only ones left. Why not?
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that should come. It's just press, yeah, the paper.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm well, and you?
Oh. Going along. At least from an opening perspective, generally, I like what you've done. I think it has a lot of merit in it, and my questions are probably more on the specific lines of it, but I want Dave to go first because he has other questions on it. So, but I think, like I said, what you've done on it is Dave, you want to?
I have a couple questions, and George has a lot more.
You can have mine.
Not that many.
I'm curious about the drainage that now you're taking care of it out to 99.
Well, actually, the way that its sheet flows, it would go that way anyway, eventually would end up in that drainage system.
Picking up from the back of the building here.
Right, but the the way it runs is it has to run this way. Because where the break is from ShopRite, that all sheet flows in this direction. So it would either sheet flow in that direction, or we pick it up and bring it in that direction.
I think they would appreciate sheet flow. I'm not saying you can't do this, I'm just wondering how much increase, as far as how quick is it getting there now instead of sheet flow. The only reason I'm asking
We can look at that.
is because DOT has said
No, I know.
storm sewer is packed here and we can't take any more.
Well, currently it goes the other way. Well, there's one catch basin in the ShopRite loading dock area.
There's only
Existing.
one cap. Well, there's
There's
two.
one in the ShopRite
One
loading
here
dock
and one
area.
there. Yeah.
And there's one behind the
Right.
retail building.
Yes.
The one behind the retail building is probably 15 or 16 feet deep. The difference in elevation between the back of the small retail strip to the ShopRite loading dock is 7 feet.
4. It's really only a few feet from the topo.
3 feet.
This is about 6 or 7 feet deep, this catch basin. It's
Yeah,
not-
it seems deeper than that. But anyway, that pipe goes all the way down to South Putt.
This goes to South Putt. So,
So what we did was we left the catch basin behind the retail building, still going to South Putt. And we took a portion of it below that, which the majority of it was sheet flow around the building to the system going out that way. If you have a problem with that, if it's an issue with 299, we'll just keep it the way it is.
but we would still want to pick up the roof in under drains.
Our problem that we're having in the back of the building is the amount of water that's draining off the roof directly onto the pavement and the freeze thaw. The pavement's getting broken up in the wintertime. Trucks are making a mess of it. Plows dig it up, and then we have mud. And you guys look at it and go, hey, you gotta fix this.
There's foundation.
And yeah, and it's, you know, the water just destroys everything.
There's also an issue with what's being washed off of the pavement down across into South Putt, and I know I talked to Margaret about that.
Stacy had mentioned that there's odors like
Odors?
odors as in there's a grease collector or something.
I don't know if they have a
This
grease
is a
collector or not.
compactor that also,
Garbage there.
you know, they don't, maybe
There's
they don't,
no- there's
they
no-
might not hose it down often enough.
There are no grease collectors for this portion of the building.
Maybe.
I don't know if they have internals or externals.
In either case, it's not, I guess, always cleanly back here, and the runoff, which is mostly from the roof that comes back here, is sheet flowing across,
Yeah.
going into the catch basin, carrying its odor with it all the way down to here. By picking up the roof drainage, will eliminate 90% of the sheet
Whatever it is.
flow across
Whatever's on the pavement. Right.
I mean, whatever hits the pavement will still sheet flow across the pavement, but the deluge that comes off of the roof will now be picked up with the drains. Now, we can increase the size of the drains and that would slow down the peak flow. The volume is not going to change, but I understand what you're saying is
The rate of flow.
the rate of flow.
I really
The
don't have
volume.
a problem with it going out to 299 and the roads and stuff, but that's all I'm saying. I just know that the DOT is very sensitive.
We can increase the pipe and just put a small earthwork in the future.
Yeah, it'll slow it down a little.
Slow it down and we can store some of it. until
I mean,
it-
sheet flow across pavement is not gonna be that much slower than through the pipe.
Right.
Sheet flow across pavement is fast. It's not like I have,
Especially out there,
yeah.
great changes.
It's not like I have sheet flow across grass that I'm now gonna collect and put into a pipe. That would, I would say, would be an increase.
Better chance of evaporating if it's on the pavement.
In the
Only
summertime,
if it
100%,
covers.
in the wintertime, 0.
On the lighting,
Yeah.
lighting is good, except I'm just wondering why it's using 190 watt fixtures. Because I'm thinking high, some 5s and above. Under those, and the others are pretty good. Just thinking you could knock
Hot
those
spots.
down to the 176 and you'd probably be fine.
Do we have two different sizes?
Where was your concern of where the 5s were? Mostly,
You can see the 5 contours there, and those are the MUS. It's the backside shields on them. There's 4 of them. I'm just wondering why they went up to 190.
I can talk to my lighting person.
If those came down, I think you'd get rid of higher numbers right there in the center.
We
well,
can
he may have done
change
that one
them.
in particular because it's at the entryway where there's a lot of foot traffic. But we,
The overall site is within the parameters. Yeah, we can change the out the fixture. Not a problem.
That's easy.
this one here.
So drop these down from the 190
Here.
to the 176.
Here.
Because those are the,
Yeah, it's here, here.
there's only 4 of them.
I wanted Tom to take a look at sheet 7, it has the truck. WB50, 60.
That's what they,
That's what we restrict them to. 52 doesn't work.
Okay.
We've already plotted a 52 on here. Can't get behind it out from behind the building.
It's like the 50s,
Just me.
so we added more specific truck routing signs within the site.
One minor note on sheet 8, the town's spec for striping is the double stripe.
Is it just a double stripe or is it connected?
It's the double stripe.
Two stripes.
I think it's 9 inches in between.
Is it a square? Is there a
Is it-
connection
is it
at the
loop?
bottom? Is there a
Connected.
loop? Do you have a detail?
It's
Do you have a
looped, it's
detail that I can
Stop and Shop.
That's Stop and Shop's own standard. They do that all the time.
No, I'm just saying, I think it's looped there. I'm just
They
pointing out
want
that-
theirs looped. That's why I'm asking. If some do and some don't.
I'll send you an email so you'll send on to me. Okay.
last sheet. I'm just curious, you used silver maps before. Mark.
Yes.
How do you like it?
They work well, especially when there's traffic, because they're fully contained within the basin, and, you know, they do their job.
How do you look them out?
Yep.
The paved areas they work, they go down and then the grate goes back on top of them.
So you have to have a
So
machine.
whatever collects in below the grate stays on the silt set and the water's level draining through.
I know how they work. I've seen them work, it's going to break and the thing goes down.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't clean
maintain
them out,
yeah.
if you don't clean them out soon enough, then that is an issue.
But in a site that's primarily paved,
It works best, but like in the DOT right of way or somewhere where there's traffic, because you really can't put anything around it. You really have to put something in.
Pass it to George.
Looking at the site plan, I saw on the new site plan, on the old site plan, there's an outside display area.
Right, which we didn't pick up and
Translate
pull.
forward.
We will pull
That's
that.
of concern to the building inspector. One of the primary ones, what it's been a constant problem on hold. Pavement marking, delineated, but, can you
they have an
describe
approved
what the
site.
proposal is?
They have an approved outside sales area.
Yes, I didn't pull it forward from the, let me, I do have a copy of the old. Outdoor retail sales area.
That's in this patched area.
Yes, which includes the bike rack.
Right.
So this is their outside retail sales area
On the
that's
sidewalk.
approved.
On the sidewalk underneath the overhang.
Right. Is that what you propose to show on the plan?
Yes.
We're not gonna change it. It's-
I
that
missed
was an
it.
error.
I missed it.
In the site plan notes on sheet 2, it says that it's for outdoor storage.
I'm
The
sorry.
new T1?
The new T1.
I pulled these from another site plan and didn't read through them thoroughly, so I apologize.
Just want to make sure that.
Yeah, we need to
Okay,
be
insistent on them, that's
I
what.
understand. We need
That display
to be,
merchandise which is offered for sale,
Right.
not.
Not storage, right. We'll get with, we just have to get the previous approval was approved to be there.
right. But these I took because they were on another site plan that had approved in this town, and they covered most of the things, and we threw them on, because I knew I needed some standard notes.
Right.
Threw them on, should have read through them more thoroughly. I apologize.
We're not proposing on the revised site plan for approval any outside storage,
Any additional.
any trailer storage
Right.
or anything like that.
Okay.
Next general point is the shopping carts on the east side.
The shopping cart.
Go in the entrance, there are 2 lines of carts.
Against the building.
Yeah.
Well, they're on the sidewalk. And is that ever approved? Is it- I mean, it's been a while since it's been
I do not have the original site plan. I have this one, which is the amended site plan. Yeah, and this is the sign, this is the amended we wrote on this one, but I do have. I don't know if it says what
They
your
keep their
folks
carts.
do. Right here.
Yeah, right along here. Where the vending machines are also, where it says telephone booth. But they've
Still
been
a
cited.
telephone booth?
I doubt it. Have you
Yeah,
ever
there's-
seen a telephone booth?
There's 2 vending machines there.
There's 2
It's
vending
like a
machines
soda
there, yeah.
machine, yeah.
But basically, the carts sit up on a sidewalk.
Yeah.
There, and the 3rd row is down in the parking lot.
There's some concern about pedestrian access towards the back now that there will be some place to go. I'm not sure what the board's inclination is on that, but the other related question is the corrals. Are they going to be storing shopping carts? Or
They're
someone
just-
collect them and bring them back?
Well, from what I've seen them do, they collect them and then bring them back to the building.
Some places do it, some they don't.
I can't tell you what their operations are.
Well, right now, they don't have any.
But they collect them in the parking
Well,
lot.
they collect
Yeah,
them.
they do
Yes.
have a person that
They
collects.
collect them in the
constantly.
parking lot, yes. and Stop and Shop collects them
There
too.
was a question about the overall logistics, how many routes are provided, versus how many provided at Stop and Shop? They at Stop and Shop.
Hey, when you came up with 3, I just,
That was based on the last approved site plan, that 3 were proposed and 3 were approved.
because that Stop and Shop, and again, I wasn't on the board that approved Stop and Shop, but they got 8. I don't know if it's
Well,
square
I'm
footage
sure
or.
it's a different size building.
Hey,
Twice
yeah, it
the
could be,
size.
but
Yeah.
to the extent that,
But what we put
I'd
on,
just like to understand the logic.
yeah.
well, the logic of it was, that was what was on the last approved site
Right,
plan.
it was approved, so.
Why was it on the list? For 3? What's the logic behind 3? Is
I
that
don't-
enough?
That's what ShopRite proposed.
Requested?
Yeah.
You look at the bike rack?
Yeah, it wasn't.
There's
it
an
wasn't-
existing bike
There's
rack.
an existing
Right.
one. One problem with the outside display is stuff piled on both sides. The rack may be in bad shape.
We can look,
Let's get some differentiation between them, that's all.
Yeah,
If you want to leave the outside,
We could leave the outside storage, just we'll pull the bike rack out of it.
put it over the other
Yeah.
side.
And there is a bike rack detail which the bike head committee has endorsed. So if you're using that, that'd be great. If not, bike head committee would like to review what you propose.
there's some standard bike racks
Send us
that
the
they have.
detail, we'll look at it.
Okay.
I had some notes on, volume 2 and 7.
Okay.
6, when you reference the town engineer, you should also reference the building inspector.
Okay. Sure.
And then I had some suggested language to add to the end of note 7.
Yep, I see that.
And you guys can look at that and let me know if there's any objections there.
I haven't seen the notes.
Shall not be used for any purpose that would make space unavailable for parking for.
I don't have a problem with that.
At the end of note 6, it talks about potentially screening if necessary, like the trucks and loading docks. Trucks and loading docks are there. If you either need screening or you don't. It should be shown if it's.
I would doubt it, since the elevation of the property next to us is about 10 feet higher.
I think this was a standard note too.
Yeah, that's
So we can,
We can tweak it.
one concern I've noticed, one issue I've noticed, landscaping. You get to the end of them, integration by landscaping, but now you get to the end of the parking aisle, like pull out.
Ooh, sorry.
That's an idea.
Well, actually, we've proposed all trees, so there's no bushes. Should be able to see under.
And there's a standard note which was used on Stop and Shop for parking in snow and parking areas, being removed when it exceeds 5 feet. I recall that we did not have a snow removal there.
For a height, we'll add that.
That's not a problem.
That's not a problem.
The 1976 plan,
I do not have a copy of that, so I'll call the building
I think
department.
someone said that.
What? Oh, 76?
Is it, we're going to incorporate by reference to 1976.
Okay.
Stacy suggested whatever would remain applicable be transferred.
Rather
to
than-
the site plan.
Rather than just cite it, we'll get the notes.
Because
and
you're
all.
changing a lot of stuff.
Okay,
Right.
that's fine. I'll get a copy of it.
Future connection to the gas station.
Right, which we put as a suggestion
Yeah.
by the board, but we were not going to pursue
No,
connecting to them.
Well, I guess this is a question for the board. In the past, Stop and Shop has provided a map note which says if and when something happens, it would provide a connection through. The discussion I heard at the last meeting was, it might be more appropriate for something like a sidewalk to promote back and forth traffic, because there apparently is a footpath there.
You want a sidewalk between the two? We thought it was a drive aisle that you
Oh,
wanted.
no, 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 no,
We
no,
thought it was a
no.
drive aisle that you wanted, so we'll be happy to build a sidewalk to the property line.
There's a, supposedly, and I don't go to Sunoco, so I don't know, there's a path between the,
There are footpaths all over.
Is it,
Oh, footpath?
but is it here or is it here?
I think it would be in front of the store.
It's kind of odd because,
Probably here.
I mean, there is sidewalk here, but
Yeah, but
if you want us to just put a sidewalk to the property line here, we'll be happy to do that.
Oh, what's the problem with having a drive?
Because I'm not sure, the access connection there makes any sense. And I'd have to look at that. Let's think about that. I don't want to
Well,
go.
the problem would be, of course, that if somebody is finished shopping and they want to go to the Sunoco station, they have to go back to 299 and pull back in.
The only thing is, they do have some rather nice landscaping.
Right there.
They really do. I mean, you'd cut down a pretty old tree. You know, there's really nowhere to go, like, between the trees.
And it would limit their parking, would affect their impacts. They don't have
Yeah.
that much parking.
That's
They
about
don't
all they
really
have
have-
is right around here. Just their pumps
They
are
park over there.
park here.
I don't know.
I don't know, but either way,
Take a look. I think what I was looking at, because I heard of all the footpaths, is that, we should show something that, put something in permanent rather than just make muddy holes from one side to the other, so to the extent, but you go right up to the curb anyway. I'm not sure what you would do except do a cut of the curb and put in some path.
it would just be
Put a little
5 foot
sidewalk.
high.
Yeah.
And we would do it on our,
The rest of the sidewalk.
can't hold us up for that.
No.
And we'll talk to them, but I mean, if it's corporate, it's going to be forever.
I mean, I've had major issues at other sites where the adjoining property owners are not willing or helping. You never know. Well, we could ask.
You could ask, and if they want to change anything on the site,
And they got to change their site plan.
they got to come to see me. So, okay.
Is there a detail for the cart trail?
There is, but it's not on the plans, but we do have the one that was approved.
Yeah.
But it-
Previously submitted and
You could
approved.
put that on the plan.
Yes, I can. And I think that one showed ShopRite logos?
No.
And is that what, it does not
No.
show? Okay.
No. Generic.
Generic.
sign.
Okay.
That was one of the things the commission didn't want to see.
Required. Okay.
Listen, I'm putting them up with no signs. 6 months from now, if they put signs on them, yeah.
You had the detail of the master sign plan approval. And the building inspector had a conversation with today. She noted that the existing sign does not conform.
We know that it's in violation. The elevation we submitted to the town showing, to the board showing the new facade shows all the signage in compliance.
With the new sign.
Right.
But they have to come in for their own.
They're gonna have to come in for their own sign.
Okay, then we're back to,
Do you want us to include that elevation sheet with this?
With the note that the building inspector will review signage.
You have that sheet, right?
yeah, AJ, I think they,
Yeah.
15 was just a comment based on my experience. Working in the ShopRite,
Well, with the new lighting plan and the island.
the only problem is, I think the code says you have to be at 0.5 at the park.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know George and I talked about that one already.
Oh, here it is. Is that?
If it's
Because
possible,
I
you would
think,
throw objection. Just because it is going to be a major issue.
So you'd like to see this higher, like maybe move this pole out? We can move this pole out to here.
No, the truck will get it.
The truck will get it if it's on the curve.
If it's on the curve, yeah.
Yeah.
We can put it back.
Well, let's just think about it without modifying the plan.
Maybe you and Dave can talk, find a solution.
Right. So just, okay.
I've attached a series of notes from the stop. It's basically developed from the Stop and Shop, but they seem applicable to the use of the market.
These I didn't read through.
First landscaping notice is fairly standard from the applicant. No flowering.
It's just that you'll maintain your landscape.
Probably with the applicable use.
No problem. We already have that in our snow removal contract.
Do you want to take a look at these and just let me know if you have?
Yeah, I'd rather than go over them here. Let's get some time. Look through them
And we'll be in touch with you.
Right.
Yeah. The only other question, when I talked to the building inspector, she said you and she had a discussion about a hydrant to be located.
Yes,
possibly
it's on the
back.
plan.
Is that what the concern, eliminate the concern about the truck movement?
Correct.
Can you
Yes.
explain that to the board so they understand?
I actually have another plan that I will send out to Stacy and to you, and it shows the compliance with the New York State Fire Code on access. You can have up to 150 feet back without needing a turnaround, and you would need a 26-foot aisle next to a hydrant. Right where the hydrant is now, you only have a 20-foot aisle, so it wouldn't qualify as a fire lane. So by moving that, we'll keep the existing hydrant there too, and we'll add a new hydrant, and that would provide a 26-foot aisle for the fire lane. And then there's also how far all of the structure is from a hydrant, and because it's a fully sprinkled system. So the fire lane would not be required to go all the way around the building. So right now, the violations which when ShopRite leaves their truck here is because there's no fire access. But by doing research on the fire code, we've come to the conclusion that by moving this hydrant, we would be in compliance with the fire code. Now, of course, Stacy, I'll provide her with this information, and she can make her determination based on her review of the fire code to see if she agrees with our determination.
And we'll get the fire department on board with
Yes,
that.
I CC'd them
Right.
too.
Okay.
Now, the addition of it's going to be one more new hydrant.
One
Yes.
more new hydrant.
Are you going to include the water department to see if it's going to affect the pressure of the hydrant with the additional hydrant onto it? Because if I remember correctly, that's at the end of the loop right there.
Well, it's on the same
No, it's
line.
on the main coming into the site.
It's on the main coming into the site.
The
So-
main comes in from this location and comes straight up the back of the building.
Yeah. So there's an existing hydrant here.
Right.
So we're just adding another hydrant. I mean, we could take that one out, but there's really no need to.
The word is it's coming.
Is that it, George?
Yeah, that's one concern.
No, well, yeah, the only things I had, probably just, the front of the other buildings, not the ShopRite, the other building. We talked about, there's a note on it that says, on the demolition, it shows something being taken off, but the curb is, the sidewalk is there. Could you just explain what you're doing there? If you're doing anything there? It was in a shaded area on the demolition.
This area?
No. Up. Get rid of- Oh yeah, I got it upside down. Yes, that is. Yeah.
ShopRite retail.
Yeah,
space.
that's a retail space. It says remove, and it says, but it says existing will remain. I wasn't sure.
Existing concrete and sidewalk to remain.
Right.
But this is coming out, this is the asphalt.
That's
That's the asphalt part of it? Okay.
Right. So you're gonna get a new curb,
You're gonna-
remove the asphalt, put a landscape area.
Yeah, we'll have
Okay.
a little landscape area and there'll be parking in here.
All right.
So,
That's.
yeah, so this is the hatch which says existing pavement or sidewalk to be removed.
So go to
the
your
hatched
new
area-
plan because it's a little confusing
Right.
seeing this. So when it's done, this is the drive aisle now.
Yeah.
That'll be your handicap parking with your access through that landscape
Yeah.
for that.
Okay. Okay. Two things I'd like to see, is a parking calculation.
We have,
I might have missed, did we?
it's right here.
Okay. And the green area calculation?
Maximum lot coverage.
You mean your proposed landscaping percentage?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Okay, that's,
Parking,
See
well,
it
that was
there.
the parking lot coverage, which
Right.
is not quite, so we went from 0% to 9%.
that's why I just wanted to document that we've met the
Yeah,
limit. and
that's,
the
that's
calculation.
within the parking lot.
Right.
I didn't do an overall site.
No, I just wanted, that's a requirement you have on it. The other one I had, the only other question I had is, I'm not sure what trees are going where, and I probably don't understand.
We can look at that. Oh, it's on the site plan. So,
Around for you?
No, I'll learn to look upside down for a while.
so we have.
Anything that makes it simple for you.
It's
This
a
page
site
is
plan. It's
Site
SC3.
plan, 3.
so
Yep.
sheet 4 of 11. So basically, it's harmonious, as in we're planting all the same trees. They're all, except for 3, which are spruces. And the spruces are here. So they are more of a solid tree and
Yeah.
they're separating them. And then all of the other trees are pear trees.
They're flowering pear trees, they're not fruit-bearing trees.
Right. They're the aristocrat.
I
know,
have
I've
pear trees,
learned-
I know
Flowering.
it, yeah,
So they flower, but they don't bear fruit.
okay.
So
And how's the height on those trees grow? I'm just thinking,
Flowering pears will probably top out around 25 feet.
oh, okay.
And you're gonna trim them up to 5 footers,
Yes.
whatever.
They grow naturally with a long bottom trunk, and the branches start off a little higher.
and you said you use them on a lot of
There's
sites.
a lot of them, yeah. A lot of shopping centers have
I
them.
don't they come in 2 forms, like the spread, it's 2
Or
different
very
ways.
conical.
Like the Bartlett.
Well, if you specify the Bartlett flowering pear, you get a different shape than you do on just the flowering pear. Flowering pear get a little bit more rounder and wider, and the Bartlett will stay a little more conical.
Okay.
What's going on along South Putt as far as the proposed
State,
county,
Yeah.
county rather?
the county beefed up shoulder, and it seems like there's no sidewalk on that side of the property.
Well, they're in the process of doing their drawings, so what Margaret has done is she's gotten enough information from them that she can coordinate this entrance with it.
Yeah.
We don't know when their drawings are going to be completely done and out to bid and the work done, but
I can talk to them again. I've spoken to them several times. I've spoken to the consultant who are doing the final plans. So
So along South Putt, you've allocated enough room to accommodate
to
whatever they
accommodate,
come up
yeah.
with?
There is
Yeah.
also a left turn lane for
Hampton.
for
Yep.
Hampton.
Yeah, we've looked at all those drawings and,
Yeah, we did, see, we just didn't want you to put something in and have.
no,
it
we
valid, yeah.
coordinated with those so that we could put this in and then it wouldn't have to be torn out again and
Yeah.
you could tie right into it.
Yep.
Question I have is, we got that crosswalk from Hampton Inn and
You want
to
me
the site?
Show it on the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I personally have concerns about that, but, I mean, it doesn't look like it was engineered. There's certainly slopes are not taken into consideration.
Where
Coming
would
in
it
there,
be?
yeah.
It's around here somewhere, but I can show it on the plan and
Yeah.
there and note that they're to do it.
Yeah, it's their work. All it is, it just lands at our property line. It's a crosswalk that comes across and lands at our property line.
There's a crosswalk and then there's
A little sidewalk,
like
yeah.
a little sidewalk that goes to the edge. But I don't think it's going to be ADA compliant. I don't know what's going to happen to any drainage in there, you know, so.
Well, it's nice to have it on there, we'll figure out what they gotta do
Could we
to
see
meet it.
how that would fit with the proposed county shoulder plan?
So, well, I think this would be subsequent to the
Right.
county
They-
doing their maps and trails, and then layering this on top of that. I mean,
What do
instead
you mean
of,
maps and trails?
I mean, what I mean by that,
Okay.
laying out their engineering design for the road, because the crosswalk is flexible enough that you can move it any which way to accommodate.
Yeah, we're not changing any grades there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm just saying is, they can layer it on top of the county's engineering
So
drawings.
whatever Hampton picked up before in grades, it's going to, unless the county
gonna stay
changes
the
something,
same.
yeah, it's going to stay.
Well, it's sort of dependent because there's a ravine on the other side.
Good.
Right,
Across,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I mean, I looked at the
I mean, I would-
Hampton
yeah,
plans really were just
You know what,
a
we'll just
picture. you
put
know,
it in,
so-
put it in a ghost format and with a note.
Okay, yeah.
Don't put it in hard format, that way it doesn't confuse anybody that's part of this.
Right, I'll put it in and I'll.
But it helps us to say, okay, this is where it's
Not a
coming in on your property, and so we have an understanding of that, that's all.
Okay.
Tom, anything? Tim, anything else? Lyle?
I'm just concerned that the drainage, that's 5 acres through a 15-inch culvert, it's a lot. You know, you get a
That's what
4-inch
goes there
storm.
now.
Yeah, I know.
It's been
I
functioning.
don't know, what do you think, Dave? Do you think?
It's not going to be much different than it is. There's a little more connection there where it's going to get there a little quicker.
I
We,
mean, are there other things he was talking about? Can we surcharge it, put orifice in? Does that help at all?
If you get a styrofoam cup and a cigarette package, you plug the pipe. It's kind of a problem.
we did over here beef up this catch basin to be like a double-sized catch
we
basin.
did.
And I have graded around this so that when it
If it should
it should
bubble.
bubble. It should be contained more likely in the grass area than spill over into the parking lot, which is what happens now, pretty much.
And it
So
looks like a 4-inch rain, which we've been having fairly often lately. That's 500,000 gallons worth of water dumped.
well, the main problem is that the DOT doesn't maintain the outlet also. So if this is cleaned up and maintained because they're making improvements to South Park Corners Road, that will also alleviate and help move the water along.
You know, there's also a pump station right across for the sewer, right? For Hampton Inn.
There's a pump station on the road.
The other side of the road, right?
The other side.
But that's a sewer.
Yeah. We don't want to be dumping water on the sewer.
Anything else, Lyle? Here, anything?
One thing the board could do tonight is determine these are consistent with the county comments. So I believe after looking at it with Dave, we could basically upgrade lighting, LED lighting, landscaping and curbing to accomplish the town 8% requirement and provide some form of cross access to Sunoco. So if you determine that's consistent, then there's no need to refer it to the county again because of the changes. These are changes which the county.
Yeah, well, basically, we have to, have to get Kelly and I together. We have to reply to county comments.
Right.
I think that's basically what we're saying is, in response to those, is that the lighting's been adjusted, and the access to Sunoco has been added in.
Right.
And
Landscaping.
and the landscaping to meet the 8% requirement. So we've got the county's advisory comments.
So if there's nothing in this revised plan which is inconsistent with this, I think you don't have, the point is to eliminate the possibility of having to refer it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Changes that are made are all consistent and derivative from the county comments, so I think you could determine it is consistent and no further referral is required.
Could probably do secret.
You got it? Just happen to have one?
I want you to change the description of the action, but otherwise,
Okay.
everything else is still. I've got this memorized now.
What's your guys' motion?
Will proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? Answer is no. Will proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land? Will proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Should improve it. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristic that caused the establishment of a CBA? There's no CBA there. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or in fact existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Answer is no. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Site work outside the building? The answer is no. Will the proposed action impact existing water supplies or wastewater treatment facilities? There's no change in the building use. The answer is no for both. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
Not an increase.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? Based on that information, along with all the other reports and plans that the board has reviewed,
I have a motion for the neg deck for the shopping center improvements.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on it? All those in favor? Aye. What else do we have there? Just had it in front of me. Hold on. Site plan waivers? Do we have any?
I think we've got everything here.
Okay, so there's no need for that. We in agreement that we responded to the Ulster County Board, Planning Board's comments that we've shown access to Sunoco. We've approved the lighting and landscape meets the code requirements. So I think make a motion that we responded to the Ulster County Planning Board's consistency, and therefore we do not need to send it back up to Ulster County Planning Board. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
This is going to be a laundry list. Make a motion for conditional site plan approval. And the conditions are, and I think we took, be responsive to the notes that we've taken at the meeting here. We thoroughly reviewed by the town engineer prior to signature on it.
Your proposed condition was subject to review by the town engineer and the chairman.
Yep.
St. George's notes would be addressed. I think there was a few here that would be.
Yeah, we're just going down the list.
Comments on the 76 site plan notes.
Yep.
Notes from the previous approved modified site.
No, 5 foot high.
Yeah, I
We
think
need the-
that's
We need the
in
snow
here.
note, we need the striping detail, and we need the bike rack detail.
Still don't review.
Yes, got it.
Okay, before we, I got one quick question. On the site notes, on the site plan, sheet 4, general notes, outdoor sales areas shall be for plants only and for 2 4-week periods over the course of the year.
So,
That's on what sheet is that?
That's sheet 4, SP3.
under general notes, that was taken from the previously
So
approved.
that's what they're allowed.
That's what was on the previous approved site
No,
plan.
that's mistaken from something. I'm certain of that. There's 2 4-week periods. That's exactly what.
Yeah. That was on the
Okay.
previous.
Shop right.
Sorry, it's not.
No, that.
No, that was on the previous approved site
This is
plan.
the previously approved plan.
That's why they didn't get cited by the building inspector.
I just want to make sure watermelons aren't
From
considered
06.
plants.
I understand.
I know what the plants are. I was just,
Yeah, I know.
watermelon, bottled water. All I'm trying to do is make sure I understand that the outside sales is 2 4-week periods over the course of the year
So,
for plants.
so that you understand what I'm going to do.
Okay.
All right? Once this site plan is approved, a copy of this site plan is going to be sent to ShopRite with a letter from the landowners who they have a lease with, telling them all the things that they have to comply with. And if they want more than what they currently have, i.e. if they want outside sales for water bottle cases or anything else, they're welcome to come before this commission.
Okay.
The trailers are going to be gone, all that stuff's going to be gone. Or else they're not going to be in compliance with their lease.
And the other one is parking of unattended tractor trailers for a duration longer than 24 hours is prohibited. So they can be there overnight, or they're gonna be gone the next day. Okay. I read those two and I just wanted to make sure I understood what you were
Those are the
saying.
notes that, correct me if I'm wrong, Margaret, that we pulled from the previous,
Well, the one about the tractor trailer, we
was
came
a
up with
discussion on the
here
previous.
at this
Right.
board.
Well, here it says parking on unattended tractor trailers for duration longer than 24 hours is prohibited. That's already on the-
Oh, it was already on that one too.
Okay.
The discussion we had with the trailers out front by the snowbird station,
Right.
staying there for weeks at a time, or long, which I want gone anyway.
So you took away that spot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we give it a shot. Okay,
I just have a question
Okay.
about the tractor. What about parking of like bucket trucks? Because it seems like it's been used as a parking lot for very large bucket trucks by different commercial operators.
We don't give permission to anyone just to wholesale park in the lot.
Well, that's-
So if
that's
Stacy
something
calls
that
us
goes
and
on.
says there's a bunch of trucks parking in your lot at night because they're doing a lot of aerial work up here or whatever it may be, we'll send somebody up here and take license plates and notify the company that they're not to do that.
so when Lewis parks all his tree trimming trucks in the lot, he's doing it because it's an open spot, but
Yeah.
He's
We're
moved
gonna-
on to the park and ride.
oh, he's on the parking ride now?
Oh,
That's right, that's got everybody there. Okay, so I think I got the motion on the floor to give conditional site plan approval to 258, 268 Main Street, New Falls Property Development LLC, for the alterations to the site, under the conditions of bringing all the map notes up to par and reviewed by the town engineer and the chairman. Motion made. Is there a second?
Second. Did I make it and second? Or-
No, I don't know. Any further discussion on it? All those in favor?
You don't want to sign.
I'll sign.
We missed it, we should have.
Aye.
The quietest eye ever, but all right.
Aye. We all got ayes? Aye, matey?
As I said, I think you,
Copy of all the notes, the comments, right?
you did an outstanding job to the site.
So the one remaining question I have
Yes?
is, can I get my permit to start working on the facade?
Sure.
Because that's how all this started. We wanted to redo the facade. You guys wanted to pound the flesh on us fixing the site, so here we are.
We got the site plan?
Requires that you sign site plan.
But we want to submit the drawings to get her review and,
Get it started, and we'll do our work.
Because
Clean it all up and then...
yeah, it's an immense amount of work and I don't want to lose the weather.
No, as soon as you get them into Dave signs off, if I'm available, I'll sign them right then and there.
Okay.
And we'll get that done. Okay?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
I'm sure you are.
Hey, I'm there often, I'll put it that way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're making it a lot couple of things for the board, on administrative discussion is, I'm gonna put the solar,
You want to go off there? Administrative discussion?
yeah, okay. We'll go off, we'll conclude our meeting now, so you can terminate that. Yep. So, we'll look at the zone, the solar zoning amendment to talk about that at our next meeting.